picture story of the chaplaincy program of the Indiana State Police. Sometimes chaplains are called sky pilots because some people think their outlook on life is from the lofty heights. But by and large, ISP chaplains, nearly 50 in number, are men and women who are concerned about the well-being of Indiana State Police officers, troopers, and their families. To qualify for appointment as a volunteer chaplain, it is necessary to be an ordained clergy who has been endorsed by a particular religious denomination or church. This program is the first of its kind in the United States. Many states and municipalities have a police chaplain, but Indiana is the first state to sponsor and organize a statewide network of state police chaplains. The seed of the chaplaincy program was planted in June 1973, when the Indiana State Police Superintendent, the Indianapolis City Police Chaplain, and the Executive Secretary of the Indiana Council of Churches began to discuss the need for this sort of support for troopers and their families. The program is launched in the fall of 1975 through a generous grant from the Lilly Foundation. With the blessing of ISP Superintendent John T. Shettle and the full-time services of Father Richard A. Cooley, the chaplaincy is alive and well in the state of Indiana. Volunteer chaplains are assigned to districts, and as district chaplains, they are willing and able to respond to any situation where their presence can be supportive to ISP personnel. Averaging 1 half-day a week, the chaplain's time is spent in building rapport with troopers, by visiting the post, getting personnel duty schedules from secretaries, by being available for counseling with troopers and their families, and by staying current with department goals and objectives. The chaplain is most effective when spending time with the troopers on their turf and riding with them on patrol. There is always something to talk about after a trooper has pulled over a citizen for a speeding violation, or an improperly registered vehicle, or a truck overload, especially after the trooper has been told off, "Why don't you leave me alone and go chase some real criminals?" The chaplain attends post meetings and puts in an appearance on inspection days. He conducts classes on stress management, marriage, and substance abuse. At least once a week, you can find a chaplain wandering around a post, paying respects to the area commander and post command, and sticking his head into the laboratory for a "How's it going today?" "How's the crime-solving business?" Or checking in with the chief detective, who nearly always has a positive comment for the chaplain. Or wandering through the garage to say a supportive word to the district mechanic, who has to keep the fleet of cars in A1 condition, new and old. The chaplain always greets the radio dispatchers who operate the nerve center of the district, and tries to check out what details have been assigned and where the troopers are working. It's called their 1020. Then it's off to Signal 8, or to meet with the weightmasters, who monitor truck licensing and the legality of their load weights. Chaplains assigned to the Indianapolis district may stop by the quartermaster section, which equips the cars and assigns cars and uniforms to ISP members. Or the radio shop that installs department communications gear and maintains it. Every once in a while, they may have to do some repair work after a citizen takes a pot shot at a communications tower light. Chaplains assigned to the toll road or the Lowell district may drop in with a caring word to the Port of Indiana security detail. Looking around the port and its activity of cargo handling, a chaplain might see troopers arrest a ship with Liberian registry, although it's not very likely. The visit might even allow for a cruise around the port harbor in the ISP boat. The chaplain's visit to the air section is interesting, especially when the pilot says, "Climb aboard, Chaplain. Let's go for a ride. I have a detail down in Columbus." ISP has some aircraft besides helicopters. While it's not a required part of the work, chaplains are invited to become familiar with the firearms used by ISP personnel. So a visit to the range is a good way of encouraging a friendship. If you can hear yourself talk. It's fun for the trooper, too, when the sky pilot comes up with a decent score or an indecent one, as the case may be. Some of the other important support that the chaplain provides this Indiana State Police is the asking of God's blessing on the occasion of a new post dedication, such as when the ribbon was cut by VIPs at Bremen, and providing God's support and strength when there is a death in the ISP family. To help the chaplain stay informed and available, each chaplain has a state police radio installed in his car and is assigned a car number. But the best help to the ISP chaplain comes from the staff chaplain secretary. Her name is Janet, and she is a winner. Scarcely a week goes by when Janet isn't calling a chaplain about how he can care for a hospitalized trooper or a family member who needs a visit. Twice a year, each spring and fall, the chaplains gather for continuing education and refresher training. It might be a lecture by the state police lawyer and a discussion about his presentation. Or it may be a briefing by the legal counselor of the Lowell district. Sergeant Gerald Izell started out as a trooper and later on became an attorney and ISP legal advisor. One chaplain seminar included a visit to the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy at Plainfield, where there was an updating on the type of training given recruits by the ISP training officer and an academy official. The chaplains appreciated a greeting from the executive director of the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. Then there was a familiarization with the driving course. And a visit to the Academy firing range. This is where troopers become proficient in the use of their firearms and develop short and long-range shooting skills. One of the most creative contributions the chaplains are making to the ISP department is in the Employee Assistance Program. Referrals are made through the cooperation of institutions like Fairbanks Hospital, Riley Hospital for Children, Indiana University Hospital, and mental health centers. The Indiana State Police is rich in history. It goes back quite a few years in its service to the state. ISP celebrated its 50th anniversary in 1983. Not so old is the Chaplains Program, but with the continuing support of the Governor and ISP Superintendent, and financial help from service clubs, community groups, and church bodies, Indiana State Police Chaplains are able and willing to point ahead with their motto of people helping people.